In the winter of 1941, as Japanese planners gathered in Tokyo to finalize the Pearl Harbor attack, they relied on a single mathematical certainty: distance equals safety. The Imperial General Staff calculated that 1,500 miles of open Pacific separated Japan from any potential American airbase, far beyond the combat radius of America's most advanced long-range bombers. The B-29 Flying Fortress could manage roughly 800 miles with a meaningful payload. The B-2 Liberator perhaps 900 under ideal conditions, and Tokyo sat 1,600 miles from the nearest American-controlled airfield in the Aleutians, with Hawaii over 4,000 miles away and Australia nearly 5,000 to Japanese strategists. These numbers represented an almost impenetrable shield, one that meant their home islands could be safe while the imperial military focused elsewhere. Even the shocking April 18, 1940 to Doolittle Raid, where 16 B-25s launched from the carrier USS Hornet to strike Tokyo, Yokohama, Osaka, and Nagoya failed to shake that confidence. The raid inflicted minimal damage, killed just 50 civilians, and demonstrated that American bombers could not return safely without extraordinary improvisation. Japan's planners continued to direct their defensive focus north towards Siberia and China, fortifying the Kuril Islands and Manchuria, while their navy extended a defensive perimeter across thousands of miles of the Pacific, creating the Greater East Asia Co-Prosperity Sphere. Within this vast barrier, Tokyo, Osaka, and Nagoya remained untouched. Factories churned out Zero fighters, artillery, and naval vessels, and civilian life carried on largely unscathed. Air raid drills were perfunctory, blackouts were ceremonial, and the Pacific Ocean served as an unassailable moat. Yet by late 1943, the American war machine was shifting the balance, and the key lay in the Marianas, Saipan, Tinian, and Guam volcanic island chain 1,500 miles south of Tokyo that Japan dismissed as backwater garrison posts, suitable only for sugarcane cultivation and token naval presence. Japanese commanders stationed roughly 30,000 troops across the islands, mostly in administrative or construction roles, underestimating their strategic importance. The American perspective, however, saw the Marianas as unsinkable aircraft carriers perfectly positioned for the new B-29 Superfortress, capable of carrying 10,000 pounds of bombs over precisely that distance. Unlike the B-17, which struggled to reach Japan with 4,000 pounds, the B-29's for powerful R-3350 engines, pressurized cabin, and high-speed capabilities meant it could strike the industrial heart of Japan while remaining largely immune to fighter interception and anti-aircraft fire at high altitudes. Recognizing this, U.S. commanders launched Operation Forager, June 1944, committing 127,000 troops, 600 warships, and 2,000 aircraft to seize the islands. The fighting was brutal. Marines at Saipan faced interlocking fields of fire from pre-sighted artillery and pillboxes, resulting in 13,000 American casualties and over 29,000 Japanese killed, including General Sito and Admiral Nagumo, who chose ritual suicide over capture. Guam and Tinian followed with similarly high costs, but the Americans prevailed, transforming the Marianas into the largest and most strategically important airbase complex of the war. From June to October 1944, Navy Seabees labored around the clock to construct runways capable of handling fully loaded 63-ton B-29s on Tinian. For parallel runways were built over for square miles of coral and volcanic soil, with precise moisture compaction, concrete, and asphalt substitutes, and round-the-clock operations despite ongoing sniper and artillery fire. Engineers simultaneously built ports, roads, water systems, and power plants to support the tens of thousands of personnel required to operate the bomber fleet. By October, B-29s began arriving from training bases in the continental United States, and by March 1945, over 300 were operating from the islands. The logistical challenge was staggering. Each bomber required 7,000 gallons of fuel per mission, and spare parts, engines, and supplies had to be shipped thousands of miles across the Pacific. Crews of 11 men per bomber, plus tens of thousands of support personnel, were housed in Quonset huts and fed powdered rations, creating miniature cities on these remote volcanic outposts. Initial bombing missions followed high-altitude precision doctrines used in Europe, but jet stream winds over Japan rendered them largely ineffective, scattering bombs and leaving industrial targets intact. Major General Curtis LeMay recognized that Japanese defenses were weak at night and low altitudes. Shifting tactics, he ordered B-29s to strip all defensive guns except the tail turret, reduce altitude to 5,000 feet, and switch to incendiary cluster bombs, each carrying hundreds of fire-starting bomblets. On the night of March 9, 1945, 334 B-29s took off from the Marianas, dropping incendiaries over Tokyo and igniting a firestorm that consumed 16 square miles, killed 85,000 civilians, and demonstrated the devastating effectiveness of the new strategy. Over the next 5 months, LeMay's B-29s methodically burned Japanese cities, destroying residential neighborhoods where aircraft components and industrial materials were produced, collapsing steel production, transportation networks, and food distribution. By summer 1945, Japan's industrial capacity was crippled, urban populations faced starvation, and civilian morale had collapsed. The atomic bombings of Hiroshima and Nagasaki in August were simply the final punctuation on a campaign that had already made continued resistance physically impossible. The strategic seizure of the Marianas, the engineering feats of the Seabees, and the calculated use of the B-29s had methodically dismantled Japan's ability to wage war, proving that geography, distance, and engineering could decisively shift the course of history.